Good afternoon, I'm Anthony Lugg with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. Up first this afternoon, close to 7,000 active cases of COVID-19 are now being monitored in Jamaica. The latest data from the Ministry of Health this morning said there are 6,939 active cases and 294 people yesterday returned positive results for COVID-19, increasing the overall case count to 20,310. 1,293 samples were tested. This represents a 22% positivity rate. All parishes except St. Elizabeth and Trelawney recorded new cases. Kingston and St. Andrew as well as St. Catherine had the most cases with 117 and 92 respectively. 2 of the new cases were imported. In the meantime, hospitalizations were 253 yesterday, down from 270 on Tuesday. 21 patients were critically ill and 22 moderately ill. And the local COVID-19 death toll has increased to 384 after 3 persons died yesterday. 2 are women who lived in Kingston and Manchester. One was 31 years old and the other 71. A 58-year-old man from St. Elizabeth also died. The government is touting its ability to retain some level of economic independence despite the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, which last year forced a number of small and medium-sized enterprises to close.
Mounted an economic policy response that is unprecedented in magnitude and also in impact, including approximately $15 billion in tax cuts and approximately $20 billion for the COVID-19 allocation of resources for employees care program. Not including the billions spent on health expenditures and support of public bodies. The CARE program represented the largest social intervention program in our history. With benefits extending to a wide range of individuals and businesses, with over 500,000 applicants. Approval was obtained from Parliament to suspend the fiscal rules for fiscal year 2020-2021, and the target date for attainment of the debt to GDP target of 60% was deferred by 2 years from fiscal year 2025-26 to 2027-28 to accommodate the impact of the pandemic. We are among only a few countries globally that have been able to maintain debt sustainability throughout the COVID-19 pandemic.
In giving the throne speech at the ceremonial opening of Parliament a short while ago, Governor General Sir Patrick Allen noted that a number of infrastructural programs will be carried out to support a quick rebound after the COVID-19. In the meantime, the government says a number of macroeconomic factors will be looked at in the next fiscal year, which begins on April 1. These include amendments to the Urban Renewal Tax Relief Act, Financial Administration and Audit Act, Financial Services Commission Act, and Income Tax Relief. Now, acts will be undertaken in the new fiscal year to further create a supportive environment for the business and investment. The calls continue to intensify this afternoon for the government to implement another work-from-home policy. The latest comes from President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, Helene Davis White.
There have been several COVID-19 workplace clusters in the last few months, and with a recent spike in cases, Jamaicans have been on edge. The government first introduced the work-from-home order in March last year, but allowed it to expire. The recent spike has renewed calls for the government to implement another work-from-home order. Helene Davis White is the president of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions.
So it can be done without an order from the government. I believe an order from the government would be sending a signal to say that this thing is getting out of hand and we need to bring it back to some semblance of normality, so to speak. And in that context, owners of businesses, managers would be forced in that context to consider actually implementing work from home situations.
But despite the calls for that to be implemented, our news team has learned about several institutions where employees are not being allowed to work from home even when they're able to. Mrs. Davis White says she's aware of the situation.
I think some of our employers are of the belief that if the worker is at home, then the worker is not really working. And they have no means of being able to say that the worker is working. But I think employers have to get beyond the situation that they are accustomed to, where what determines that a worker is working is them sitting at a particular desk.
She argues that employers should be more focused on the worker's output and not on their presence in office.
So you agree with the worker, what is the output that you want, and as long as the worker delivers on that output, that is all that you should be really concerned about. But a lot of employers and supervisors want to see the employee sitting at the desk, even if they are less productive sitting at a desk in an office than they are working from home.
On Tuesday, Mrs. Davis White said workers who have to take public transportation are particularly on edge.
And it's time for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back. Continuing the news. Residents of Denby Avenue, Four Paths, Clarendon are this afternoon battling with a dust and noise nuisance from the construction of Highway 2000 South Coast to Manchester. The residents say they're not satisfied with the response from China Harbour or NEPA, and their health and properties are at risk. Javon Keys reports.
Cracked walls and tiles, mounds of dirt, and the window view now showing a construction site. Work on the new leg of the South Coast Highway to Manchester underway, but for residents on Denby Avenue, Four Paths, Clarendon, it's a nuisance.
We've been eating dust and sleeping in dust. We take a shower, it doesn't even make any sense because you go lay down back in dust.
But the dust isn't their only issue.
Whenever the rollers or the trucks or anything that they're passing with, whenever that pass, it jerks the house. So all the tiles in the house have been cracked up. The walls has been cracked up and it's just shaking all day and a lot of noise.
Even their health and that of their children have also been compromised.
My daughter, she has allergies. Her eye get red and she's coughing a lot. Since yesterday, she's coughing up blood. So I'm going to take her to the doctor.
The Pinnocks seem to be one of the most impacted in the area, and these mounds of dirt adjacent to their property tell why. Dust screens were installed by the contractor China Harbour, but they haven't been very effective. The Pinnocks say they've also complained to the National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA. We contacted the National Road Operating and Constructing Company NROC, which contracted China Harbour to carry out the road work. NROC's Managing Director Ivan Anderson explained that the Pinnocks property will be about 20 feet from the actual roadway when it's completed. He also says NROC has set up dust monitoring systems to ensure the site is compliant, and based on recent dust readings, the site was below the allowable dust threshold. NEPA has, however, indicated that it has taken enforcement action against the contractors for dust breaches in August 2020 and February 9, 2021. Javon Keys, TVJ News.
Public transportation operators in St. Thomas are frustrated that they're required to operate from a transportation center. Both operators and passengers say the center lacks the necessary facilities and is too far from the town. Cody and Barrett reports.
With the increase in COVID-19 cases island-wide, taxi operators in St. Thomas are fuming now that the authorities are insisting they operate from the Church Street Transportation Center. The operators say that the center lacks facilities to maintain proper hygiene practices.
The police said we must use the park. We are here in the park. If you look at the park, there's no wash-on area. There's so much person coming in the park, And now corona is on the increase. And we have to be working in this condition. How we going to fix corona? How things going to be better if we don't put in the right things in the facility?
They are running all our in the park. We can't want somebody to go so a ticket or record. So we can't go to the beer. We don't have no to wash your hand. One facility sometimes we come in and it now work. So all our in just bung gloves on and say COVID alright. So we want to know whatever they can do for it.
Added to that, passengers are also upset that the center has no shelter from weather elements.
We want shed down here. Did the rainfall me wet up? This can't be. We understand so they say come down here so. But give us shed. Give us some seat to sit on. See, look how the sun hot. You understand? We want shed.
We can't one little makeshift tent down here so man. People them. If them say they love the people, what them a provide for them? They not provide nothing for the people them. Them a run them out of here if you come down here and turn up in the sun. I hope so businessman them something there. And them a send them down here. So what is down here for the people them?
Others also complain that the distance they must now travel to get a taxi is challenging.
Never broken it. And since recently, I start walk without stick. I feel leave for up in the town to come down a taxi stand yourself with load. You know easy. And if me call a cab to come to me, at times me buy feeding and me can't find nobody that him can't man to carry down. And if you can't man, if he taxi and come up in the town, the police come and take one vehicle. And me's a lame man. You know right?
They are calling on the Transport Ministry to make the necessary changes to improve the centre and facilitate smoother operations. Cody-Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
To news in sports now, Guyana Cricket Board Secretary Anand Sanasi plans to challenge Ricky Skerritt for the presidency of Cricket West Indies on March 28 when the elections are due. However, for the incumbent, it should not be surprising there is a bigger intention behind the new development.
A day before nominations are closed for the presidential slots at Cricket West Indies, ahead of next month's elections, long-serving Guyana Cricket Board Secretary Anand Sanasi confirmed with TVJ Sports that he has the backing of Guyana and Barbados to challenge President Ricky Skerritt and his deputy, Dr. Kishore Shallow.
Yes, I can confirm the two full members have put up my nominations for the presidency of Cricket West Indies, and I've taken it up. Later this evening, I'll be issuing a statement.
Skerritt and Shallow are seeking a second term after defeating Jamaican Dave Cameron and Emmanuel Nanthan by 8 votes to 4 in 2019. However, Shallow says he's not surprised by the intent shown by Sanasi.
No worries for me whatsoever. I don't think President Skerritt has any concern either. I mean, we don't own West Indies cricket. You know, and if anyone wants to challenge, there's a process, a democratic process, which we welcome. So there's absolutely no issue with anyone who, desires to challenge us one way or the next. That's just part of the whole democratic process, and, we look forward to it, if anything.
Sanasi has confidence in his own resume to challenge Skerritt and will have Barbados Cricket Association Vice President Calvin Hope as his running mate.
I've been a director for 10 years, and I've been the secretary and CEO of the Guyana Cricket Board and the Guyana Jaguar franchise for the same period. I don't see any issues there.
For Shallow, the latest developments could be bigger than what's on the surface.
I said I won't be surprised if, Mr. Cameron is behind their campaign.
The CWI election will be held on March 28. Jerome Foster, TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Anthony Lugg. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.